because we've got these wide open spaces like the one you see to the left.
Look at that. Hey, look
Now
at
in
that.
here we have some rhinos, we have some giraffes, several different species of antelope, and some birds too. You can see those great white pelicans and Dalmatian pelicans on the island.
Hey, Ming. Ming. Are you okay? Happy?
Now these animals are all living in this
What's the
habitat
matter?
together. They're interacting with one another.
You want mom? You want to go to mom? Let's go
That's
to
why a
mom.
lot of these animals still retain some of their natural behaviors.
Mommy's not gonna move, so either you move
Now
or
I'll
you
try to
stop.
point out the animals as I see them, but of course, I have just one pair of eyes. You guys are going to see a lot more than I see. Some good tips are to look towards the shade. On hot days like today, animals will be resting under the shade, relaxing.
Over there. See some animals.
Another tip is just to look. But the longer you look, the
Oh.
more you see. Try that over on our right-hand side. We're looking at our bird marsh. It's got a variety of beautiful African birds in there. Now at first you might just see the one that's standing up by the water. It's got kind of gray feathers on his back,
Oh, that's
long
fun.
pointy beak,
Hey, Dan, that's-
brown feathers on his head. Now that's called a Goliath heron.
It's a
But
vulture.
look behind it, you might see some western repelled vultures creeping around back there.
You gotta look.
The animals with the brown and white dappled feathers.
Vulture over there.
The bird over there.
Vulture over there. You
Now
said
those
what
Goliath
over
herons
there?
are predators.
Vulture?
They use those long pointy beaks that they have to stab their prey.
Vulture là con mà nó ăn thịt đúng không?
Now it's different from what those repelled
It's a
vultures
bird.
do. See, the vultures are scavengers. They're not predators. That means they eat the rotted leftover carcasses that predators have left on.
No, it's over there. That one
They
over
don't have
there,
any
see?
feathers on their heads or necks, and that helps
See?
keep them a little bit cleaner and free of bacteria.
No, not in the river.
Rotted meat.
Over there.
As we move forward, we'll have some mammals on either side of us. To our right, some tiny Sommerin's gazelles. You can see they've got a flat tan coat on the top. And that's a type of camouflage, just like the cheetahs. It's not as exciting as that spot pattern, but it's still very effective. That tan coat helps those animals to blend into the dirt when they're resting on the ground.
Look, man, look up.
If your predator can't see you, they can't eat you. You'll see a lot of animals trying to blend in. And again, it's because they don't want to become prey. But sometimes it is good to stand out. Take a look over to the left side. Now look past the dirt road, and on the grass, you'll see some kind of chocolatey brown animals sitting there. And they've got curved back horns on their head.
Wildebeest?
Those are called sable antelopes.
Antelopes? Okay.
Now scan that group for a second. Let's see if you can find the dominant male.
Longest?
Now he's a little bit to the left of the group. He's the one that
Longest
is
horn.
really big, and he's really dark.
Yeah.
He's got those huge horns on his head that are about the thickness of baseball bats. Now for him, it's a good thing to stand out. He's not only intimidating the smaller males, but he's attracting the attention of the females. You can think about those horns on his head as the antelope version of a fancy car. He's showing them off, trying to impress the girls. And he's also got that dark coat. He's wearing it like a tuxedo. Dressed up all fancy. Now that's good for him because if he can stand out, he can attract the attention of the females, and he gets to mate with them. So that increases his reproductive success. And you'll see the animals out here competing for different things, three primarily: access to mates, access to food and water, and access to space,
Oh, that's a
territory.
rhino.
And we'll see examples of that later on.
That's a rhino over there.
Now we've got another animal coming up on our left that definitely stands out. Raise your hand if you can see that rhino resting in the mud. Excellent.
Nancy, you see the rhino?
Now, that is Nola. Nola is a northern white rhino. The northern white rhinos are pretty famous because they're very rare. You might have seen them in the news recently. Unfortunately, one of the northern white rhinos at a zoo in the Czech Republic passed away. And now that makes Nola here only one of 4 northern white rhinos left on the planet.
Oh, wow.
That's right. There are only 4 of them. That's hard to believe because these animals really are so huge they don't have to worry about predators. They can get to be about 4,000 pounds, which is about 10 times the size of an average lion. So you won't see the lions going after them. Now the problem is these animals are hunted by humans. They're illegally poached. And that's because in some cultures it's believed that rhino horn has medicinal properties. But I want you to take a look at that rhino horn and think about it as like a giant thick toenail. That's pretty much what it is. It's made out of a protein called keratin. And keratin is the same stuff that makes up our hair, our fingernails, and our toenails. Now here at the park we are trying to educate, trying to spread the word. Because if we can do that, we can hopefully reduce the demand for rhino horn and end the killings of these beautiful animals. Now it's going to take everyone's help to save them. If you've taken a picture of Nola, why not post it on social media? Use the hashtag #StopKillingRhinos. You can also text Nola to 97779 for more ways to help. But of course, Nola isn't the only rhino we have out there. As we move to the other side of those trees, look slightly behind you and you can see Chuck. Chuck is a southern white rhino.
Southern, oh.
And even though he looks very similar to Nola, and they have very similar life strategies, they are 2 different subspecies. And they're about as different from one another as humans are from chimpanzees. Now luckily those southern white rhinos are doing a bit better, and that's due in part to conservation programs like ours that we have here at the park. See, Chuck there was part of that breeding program back in the day. He was our herd sire, fathered a lot of baby rhinos, but he's in his 40s now, so he's in retirement, and he's spending his time with his best friend Nola. See, the reason that we have a lot of these animals here is because we have active conservation programs for them. We're trying to keep these animals safe, trying to protect them, and in some cases we're trying to breed them to keep their populations up at a healthy level. And it's our hope that one day we can release these animals back into the wild.
Giraffe, you mean? Giraffe, yeah. You see the giraffe?
Now we're coming to a place where we have animals on both sides of us.
On both
On our
sides.
right, on
Oh!
the passenger side of the tram, we're passing some Oodad, or Barbary sheep. Also on our right, we have some gray animals in there that look very similar to donkeys, but they're not donkeys. They're called Somali wild ass, and they are a critically endangered species. We estimate there to be only 50 individuals left in the wild. Now that is a desert animal, very competitive for food. You can tell just by looking at it. You can see it's got the gray coat and the white belly, and there's a very distinct separation. And that line that forms along the animal's side helps to accentuate how big it is around the middle. Makes it look bulkier, more muscular. Those animals also have manes on the back of their neck. That mane is just an extension of hair, but it mimics neck muscle, and again makes them look like they're bigger and stronger. That's useful because the stronger you are, the less likely you are to be bullied and have your lunch taken away from you.
Hey Ben, take a peep.
Now you'll see similar features over on the left side. You'll see animals with long V-shaped horns. Those are called hensbok. And you can see they're not as subtle as the Somali wild ass, they actually have a dark stripe across their side, and that dark stripe does the same thing, accentuates their bulk. Now, the males and the females of this species have those long V-shaped horns, and they use those to compete with one another, to intimidate one another, to gain better access to resources. You can see there's also a